So this is a webinar about how to build a virtual sales machine. My name is Paulus Perkkiö. I'm the CEO and the founder of Seidat, the company building this amazing sales presentation platform and selling it as a SaaS service. So welcome. Before we really start, I recommend you to follow our company in social media. We are most active in LinkedIn and Facebook, Instagram, sometimes also something in Twitter, and of course all recordings are going to YouTube, so there you can see quite a lot our content in video as a videos. Today we have interesting topic, how to build a virtual sales machine, and we will start that going through about what is virtual sales all about, what kind of challenges there may be. You can see typical processes, how to automate things during those processes, and how to scale it and lead the virtual sales team. And I have a chat all the time open, so it would be really interesting if we can get some interaction during this session, so that I'm not only telling you how I'm thinking about, but I have Evert together with me. Evert is this Seidat marketing person, and he's trying to activate you. So in the early beginning, I recommend you to ask me or tell me one story about or question about virtual sales machine building. So what are you waiting for from this webinar? It will be interesting to see that question in the chat. So it's interesting to answer those things. We are gonna record this session, so if there's something happens, then we will send you this recording and you can share it to your colleagues if they would be interested about that also. Yes, maybe something about myself in the early beginning. How and why I'm interested to tell you about virtual sales, how to build virtual sales machines. I have quite many years of experience in virtual sales. It's not all from the Corona time, also quite a long time before that. When I was a near teenager, I was selling magazines in calling center. And it's like a first step of virtual sales. It was much more than 20 years ago, nearly 30 years ago when I did that. I bought first SaaS product in virtual sales meetings in 2007, and it was amazing feeling. In the same year, I remember that I bought first car remotely in a phone call or video call, and I can remember those situations. They were something what I started to think about, that how they did it, why I bought something in a remote meeting without meeting anyone personally, even those were quite a big deals for me or my business. And but then I studied about the topic a little bit more, and then tried to understand, and we started to train ourselves in virtual sales. And first things first, and I think that now today we are discussing more about how to build virtual sales machine, but it's important to understand that virtual sales is not against face-to-face meetings. The combination of those things, hybrid model is really good one. And whenever we are selling, I think that there are several basic things. What should happen every time if you are selling face-to-face or virtually, it doesn't matter. I think that if you are selling something, the first thing is that you must understand, you must be in the business where you are. You must understand the industry on very high level. And you must have basic skills to solve problems. I mean, to sell. And then you must have willingness to close a deal, willingness to have a winning sales flow. And if you don't have those things, it doesn't matter what kind of process you have, how you can automate everything. You absolutely can't scale that kind of working mode. So to make successful sales means every time, I must to underline it, you must have business understanding, you must have problem solving skills and willingness to close deals. And when you have that, then it doesn't matter if you are doing virtual sales or if you are doing sales in hybrid model or have only face-to-face meetings, you will be successful. But it's interesting, of course, to understand a little bit that what is actually virtual sales all about? How do you think that? What is your opinion? How could you explain what is virtual sales? Because how I see it, that typically it's this kind of session where we have like we have now, we have Google Meet, it can be Teams or whatever. But for me, virtual sales means that you have a video chat where you communicate with your customer a little bit like you are communicating with your customer in face-to-face meeting. For me, phone calls are not real virtual sales discussions. It's remote sales, absolutely remote sales, but it's not on same level because you don't have this video image there which you can follow and see how your customer is behaving. You must trust only the voice, and it's very, very hard way to sell. I have experience of that in selling those magazines, and it was really interesting time. So when this is one slide from our sales pitch deck, but we don't need to go it from that point of view. But typically, when you sell, when you have remote sales, you have virtual sales concept. Typically, Google Meet, Teams, and Zoom are those tools which you are using. Our customers are using, of course, Seidat to share the content, like I'm now sharing it. Evert, you could also share the link to the presentation so that you can see how it can be done in Seidat without any screen sharing. But then, of course, when we are discussing to build virtual sales machines, it's interesting to understand why it's interesting, why it's profitable to build this kind of concepts for sales, to sell virtually. Even we have done that thousands of years in the face-to-face model. For me, virtual sales means that you can sell much more, you can sell faster, you can sell more efficiently with virtual sales meetings. Why? Because it means that you can double the those situations when you can close the deal, because you have a double amount of meetings in one day. You can have our calculation is that on average 6 meetings per day if you have virtual sales meetings. If you have a face-to-face meeting, average could be maximum 3. It means double amount of meetings, and if you have double amount of meetings, you can meet double amount of people. Then the question is, can you keep the same level of closing in virtual sales meeting as you have in face-to-face meetings? Okay, you can have more meetings, but I think it's also positive thing that you can book those meetings much easier. It's easier to schedule them because you have more suitable calendar slots in your calendar, and also your customer has that. And one reason for that is that a remote meeting can be held anywhere. So you can be wherever you want, as can your customer be. So I have seen that many times after Corona, that salespeople typically were thinking that, okay, after the Corona time, I will jump again to my car and drive to my customer and meet them face to face. What happened? Those customers were not anymore at the office. They were anymore in the factories. They were working at home and from cottages and other side of the globe. It was not that easy to meet them anymore. It's very positive thing for me, at least. I can be much more flexible in my free time. Because it's easier to schedule those meetings, you can get decisions faster. And I think it's very big opportunity to sell more. You can get easier those decisions and much more meetings. Everything is positive. And of course, I have had days when I have been selling in one day to Norway, to USA, to Finland, to several other countries. Your customers can be anywhere where you can deliver. We have a digital platform. It's easy to sell it anywhere. If you are selling something physical products, it's maybe not that easy to sell anywhere, but maybe to larger area what you have been selling before. Then there are many positive things in virtual sales, but maybe there are also some challenges. Do you have any challenges in virtual sales? Because I have seen so many times this kind of discussion that no, I don't want to have a virtual sales process because the face-to-face is so nice, it's so more effective. There's this kind of mental resistance quite a lot against virtual sales. People, they don't believe in that kind of concept. And if you don't believe to that kind of concept, it's not that easy to get good results. So at first, if you are building a virtual sales machine to your organization, it means that you must build the trust to the process, to the concept, so that the people will believe that it is possible to sell virtually. It's also really important that you will have a support from your C-level in your organization. Because if your C-level is not supporting all the time the process, it's not possible to work with that. Because of course, if you don't have virtual sales machine going on at the moment, it means development process, and it's not all the time going to right direction. You fail sometimes, and you need to take those steps again. So it's a process. I can say there is no magic button which you can press and start building virtual sales machines. There are also many kind of technological things which challenge your sales. If you don't have a good enough networks, if you don't have cameras, lighting, like I have now, the quality of the video image is then good enough, and it's not that easy to sell if the quality of your meeting is not high enough. And it's also very important to understand that it's not possible to sell exactly same way in virtual sales meeting as you are selling in face-to-face meetings. And most of these challenges which I have been writing here are that kind of challenges that, okay, technology doesn't work. You are not maybe able to build trust, not steering emotions. You will not get it so easily, decisions and so on. But there are also this kind of challenges that maybe you have noticed that, okay, it's not working same way than in face-to-face meetings. I need to have better sales materials, better sales presentations, for example. And it can be also one big important note that, yes, really, you need to have better materials, and presentations could be the solution for that. How I see it's, as I said earlier, virtual sales is not telemarketing. You must have this kind of video chat to make it work really well. And as I said earlier, virtual sales is sales. It's not customer service. There are many ways, situations when I have seen that there is the company has had virtual customer success or customer support organization, and they think that the virtual sales organization could work same way, but it's not. It's not same kind of concept. If you are building customer support organization, it means that they are helping your customers without business thinking behind, and without the goal to get more and new customers. And it means that you must build those processes totally differently. Virtual sales must have totally different process than what you have in customer success, customer support, and in face-to-face world. There are similarities, but those small details, they are totally different. If we think about process, if you want to build virtual sales machine, you must have clear process. It means that you must. I really recommend that you visualize it some way. This is one way to do it. This image is telling how our customers are using content, Seidat presentations during the sales process, how they use that content to generate leads, how they use it for when they contact, when they try to get a scheduled meeting, when they have the meeting, what kind of content they use there, and what happens after the meeting. There can be several meetings, and then there is a proposal stage and signing the contract. But this kind of process is very important to build to your people, visualize it, and train them to follow it. When you are building this kind of process to your team, it also means that you may use some CRM tools, and I really recommend that you build same kind of pipeline, same stages to your CRM, so that it's easy to follow in CRM what your salespeople are following in a real life. Same kind of process. And yes, this process is done for describing how to use content in a process, but these steps which I mentioned before the meeting, before the meeting, in a meeting, and after the meeting, it's very important to understand that there are those three parts in a process. You can have several meetings, but before every meeting there is time before the meeting, in a meeting, and after the meeting. And in the process, you must develop all of those parts. How you help your salespeople to do that to run the whole process. We have also built in our own team, we have built those materials that way that our sales content, our sales presentations are supporting the structure of the sales meeting. This is one example how we typically build those presentations to our customers, or how they are building it. It typically, if you think about virtual sales meeting and face-to-face meeting, there are many similarities. In the first part of the sales meeting, there must be some kind of warm-up part. Then there is an introduction, clarifying customer needs, understanding what is the real problem, what should be solved, then telling what is the solution, how we could solve this problem which you have, then why you should buy it from us, what kind of references we have, how the process will follow, what kind of process we will start from the closing, when we agree that, okay, let's start to collaborate together, and what are the next steps. This can be divided to 2 or 3 meetings, but typically the sales process goes step by step this way. And I'm also using quite often this kind of steps of solution sales to describe what happens, what should happen during the sales process. I typically start it so that there is a preparation part where you try to understand what is the business, what your customer has. Then there is a strong beginning, the introduction part typically. Or in the face-to-face meeting, it was like shaking the arms and going from reception to meeting rooms, this kind of quick small talk and that kind of part. Then there is a building a trust part when you try to try to make the buyer understand that you have well enough knowledge of the topic that you can solve those problems. And when you have built the trust on certain level, then you have been able to clarify those needs, and then you have good opportunity to discuss about those challenges which your customer maybe have. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges in building virtual sales machines, because typically people they try to keep those sales meetings typically too quick. They are too short, let's say 15 minutes, half an hour. It's not enough to build the trust. And if you don't have built the trust on high enough level, it means that it's not possible to have need discovery on good level, because no one is not telling any big challenges to anyone before they have trust on high level. It's easy to have small talk, but to discuss about real challenges, it's not that easy. And if you don't have that trust, you don't understand the challenges. If you don't understand the challenges, you can't make any proposal. You can't tell the solution. And if you can't tell the real solution to real problem, you don't have a real opportunity to close a deal. And that's why I think it's very useful to build this presentation so that it supports your salespeople to follow the basic process which you have in sales meeting. You can see maybe this matrix structure, what is possible to use in Seidat presentations. And for example, when I'm using in this, also in this webinar, I'm using Seidat. I can show you, I have this kind of presenter view in other screen, which I'm using, and in this presenter view, I can easily, quickly change slides in that order which I want to use. And in sales meeting, it's very, very useful feature with this matrix structure, which helps you to visually see what is the structure of the meeting, what I should follow. If you have those linear presentations where you have, let's say, 30 slides in a row, it's not that easy to understand the structure, how they are built. It's much easier if you have this kind of matrix. Okay, if you think about, then if you go back to this process, I think next step when you have built this process is to build the understanding if there is something which you could automate. I'm sure there is no possibility to build that kind of machine, at least today, which is fully automated, which is selling, for example, professional services. Of course, we have web shops, we have we have this kind of SaaS products which can be sold without any human touch, and they are automated fully in some cases, not in every case, but typically if you are selling something else than that kind of virtual platforms, it means that you can't make it fully automated. But how I see it, in this process, you have many steps which you can automate. You can automate this lead generation part. You can automate how you could contact with your customer before the meeting. There is many automations which can do that, send calendar invitations, and inside the invitation maybe some introduction content, maybe some survey to get some understanding of those challenges which your customer has. You can have automations which after the sales meeting can build some conversation with your customer, and so on. You can create automations which creates those proposals and follows if your customer is signing it or not. Those parts could be automated, but not the whole process. And how I see this lead generation part is maybe one of the most interesting parts of the whole virtual sales process, where you have good opportunities for automation. It's also very important that when you build the good lead generation process and you will get those inbound leads to your pipeline, that it will never happen that all of those will be won deals. It means that some of them you will lose it, or it's not actually happening today. They will schedule it for next year or somewhere else. And that's why it's very important that you build also automated warming pipeline where you warm up those potential leads towards the next good opportunity. We are also building in our platform, in our marketing and sales automation, many kind of segmentation, so that we try to get some understanding how potential those customers are. And we do it based on the behavior, what you have. Are you signing to our platform? Are you joining to our webinars? How are you opening those newsletters which we are selling? It helps our salespeople to contact at the right time. Of course, need surveys and NPS surveys are also very easy to automate. And I think when you have this good process, you have automated it, it's time for scaling. And then when you start to scale, it's very interesting that to have, for example, this kind of sprint model where you go step by step from one using, for example, 2 week sprints. You decide very clear development project for 2 weeks. You run it, and after that you implement it and take a second step. So build this scale. When you scale, you will face every now and then new problems, and it means continuous development, and this continuous development, it's very easy to run with this kind of sprint model. For example, today morning I have an other company, it's marketing and design agency, and I joined to their sales meeting today morning, and in that morning we were discussing about lead generation service which we are selling to our customers, and we are all the time developing it. And now we were discussing how should we develop the first email what the customer will get after they have signed to from our website. They have sent a contact form, and yes, it's very important what you will get from after you have sent the form, what kind of feedback, what kind of email we will send before we contact them personally. And this kind of continuous development, it's very important, but sometimes I have noticed that it's not so easy for all those sales team members to understand that, okay, we have done it now on that level, we must jump now to the next level all the time. If we want to scale it, if we want to be very fast scaling, it means that the development must be done on weekly level. Also, if you think about scaling, one of the basic things is also that you must have good packaging. I mean, packaging of your services, of your product on that level that it's easy to buy. It must be as simple as possible. It must be very easy to understand, because when you are meeting people face to face, you may use a little bit more time. You have many other ways. You can take this bottle and rotate it and do many things, and people can easily understand, okay, this part is flexible and so on. But whenever you have a face-to-face virtual meeting, it's not that easy to sell those physical things, for example, and that's why you need different kind of packaging, and the packaging is even more important with services. And I think it must be easy to buy. You must have alternatives like A, B, and C, and then you can select easily, should we take this B or C? And it is very important part of the sales process. The one way to make differentiation to maybe to your competitors is how you build your pricing. I made one example of our service in that my other company. We are selling this lead generation service, and if you think about marketing agencies, they are typically selling hours or fixed projects. But what we are selling in Vuore, in that my other company, we are asking from customer how many leads per week you need. And after that we tell, okay, this is the price per lead. We are not selling them an hourly rate or fixed project, but we are selling the price of the lead. So price of the lead. And it means that what we have seen, that it's very big differentiator from our service to the competitors, because many competitors are selling marketing project and the goal can be to get leads, but when we are selling leads, it's totally different thing. But when you have good packaging, you have model to build it, to develop the process, I really also recommend to have good understanding of your ideal customer profile, ICP. This ideal customer profile is a really, really important thing. For example, with that lead generation project or service, we have been thinking quite detailed what is exactly the most ideal profile of our customers. We can't build good packaging without understanding the ideal customer profile, and it's one of the basic things when you build any kind of sales machines. Okay, now you have good packaging with your service, then you maybe start to think about that. Okay, I have a process, we have automated many things, we have good packaging, and now it's time to think how to make it run in reality. And I think this is maybe something what we could discuss the whole end of the day, how to manage and lead this kind of sales machines. It's also interesting that if you make it work, it's easy for some people, then it's easy to some other people to keep it running. And to keep it running, my experience is that it's very important that you have some kind of continuing process. It means that you have maybe monthly campaigns for your salespeople, or we have solved, for example, in Seidat, that we have monthly webinars, bi-weekly webinars where we invite people, and this process, it's done for marketing. They must every second week invite people to new webinar and so on. It's easy to build the process, and whenever every second week our sales will get new inbound leads for webinars, it's very, very important part for them to get something new to pipeline. When you lead your people, it's also important that you decide good KPIs. So you have metrics how you measure the results which your sales is doing, and without those, without measuring, it's very hard to lead. It's my opinion, and whenever you build a machine, it means that you try to grow, and you try to build a situation when you go faster and faster all the time. So please think those KPIs also at the same on that level, that it's all the time accelerating. If you build a monthly KPIs, please do not make them linearly, but make them a little bit accelerating. So it's the way to do it. I have had also many times discussions where we have been discussing, is it possible to build that kind of machine where you mix both inbound and outbound leads? In our organization, we are mixing, and I think it works. But I have seen mostly they are B2C companies who are really afraid of mixing inbound and outbound. They are maybe have some salespeople who are going from door to door, even selling their product or services. And if you mix those people to inbound, if you give them inbound leads, I really understand what is the concern. It is that they will be lazy, they will not anymore do the outbound sales. How we have, for example, solved in our organization is that we have separate SDRs who are organizing those outbound sales meetings, and our sales managers are doing partly the inbound scheduling. They are totally different kind of situations when you call, and when you have, for example, junior people in SDR position, it's better to keep them a little bit separately. I also recommend, as I earlier told, that if you are building the machine, you must have a process. It's presentations are really good tools to lead your people to follow the process. They are also really good tools for remote meetings, virtual sales meetings, to make this kind of wow effect in sales. If you have good presentation, it will support your salespeople quite easily to get the first impact, and then the first impact, if the visual quality is high enough, it helps them to build the trust, and if the trust is built, it is easier to discuss about challenges. I noticed that there is no one has done any questions, so if you want, please do it. It's now possible. It's easy to and interesting to discuss also and answer those questions. But yes, from leadership point of view, I want to summarize this kind of machine building to this slide. If you build a machine, it's only possible to scale success. Without building a small machine when one man show is doing the whole process, or 2 man or 3 man, or at least a small team, if you can't manage in that, you can't start to scale it. And I think it's very important to remember every time. Scaling is not solving those problems which you have in smaller team. Try to remember that. I think it's very important to remember. So if I must tell you what should be your plan to build this virtual sales machine, I would put those stages on this order. At first, you must do that packaging so that you have very clear package which your people are selling. Make good presentation of that and so on, so that it's so clear for everyone what they are selling and how your customer can buy it. Then you must build the process for your team, which they can follow to reach their goals. And when you have this process, it's important that then you build those tools, like presentations, which could help your sales team to follow the process. You must have a process which helps them to achieve their goals, but then you must have tools like presentations which help to follow the process. Of course, CRM is also very, very important tool. But when you have those tools, the next step is to train the people to follow use those tools, which helps them to follow the process and so on. And when you have trained and the whole machine is up and running, it means that it's continuous management and development. I really recommend that never stop the development and do it on weekly basis. It's important if you want to develop better and better results all the time. Also, this kind of model where you start from understanding. This is another view of this process, that start from the understanding where you are now, how you build, how you sell at the moment, then set up goals, make some kind of plan, supporting material, train and development. This is another way to build the process. David is asking there in the chat that your opinion about AI sales assistant doing the sales outreach and qualification, so human SDRs can focus on closing. AI sales assistant doing the sales outreach. What is my opinion of that is that in the early beginning of building the process there in lead generation, in contacting parts, there are many good opportunities. There are many good tools, but to be honest, I don't have too much experience of that as a user. I have experience as a customer, and as a customer, I would say that the quality of those AI-driven machines is not good enough in every case. I don't. If some kind of robot is calling to me and I'm answering to that, the discussion is too. It's not on same level yet, typically, than which it is with human. But at the same time, I must say that email automations in some cases, they are really good helpers. They are really good like a robot. They can be done AI driven, and when you have this kind of features in your process, it really can help you to schedule those meetings, make basic things in the early beginning of the sales process. There are also differences with language areas. I'm living in Finland, and Finnish is my mother language, and it's the main business language in Finland, and it's not that easy to find any ready-made solutions to build robots which are working well in Finnish. If you build robots which are working in English, it's much bigger, the market, and there are much better solutions. Yes, David commented also that I would narrow it to email conversational AI in B2B. Yes, and this email is something where it works in some cases, but it's not that easy to build. It's my experience. Even building an email automation which is reacting to behavior of people is not easy to build. And why it's not that easy to build? It is only because the analytics data, for example, in email automation, it's not something which you can respect, because it's the failures in the analytics, there is too much of that. But of course, how to build virtual sales machines, Seidat could help you. Our mission in Seidat is to enable winning sales flows. And we have built this our sales presentation platform to support salespeople during the whole sales process, and giving them better tool to manage, develop, and build sales materials, and think the whole life cycle of those materials, from building to presenting, sharing, analyzing how they have been used, and finally to signing the contracts, and then thinking about the collaboration between sales and marketing teams inside our platform. Our platform can be used with any device, and it means that you will have all your sales content in one place. It's 24/7. You will have a 24/7 access there with any device, and it's something which is very useful. You can be in a restaurant with your customer, and then you start using your mobile to show the content what you have there, and help you to have that session. Seidat is a really good tool in remote and this kind of virtual sales meeting, because it can be used with any kind of virtual sales applications with Meet and Teams and Zoom and so on. And you can also run virtual sales meeting with your phone and Seidat. You don't need to have those screen sharing apps. One important feature is also that whenever you are sharing the content to your customers, then you can get email notifications if your customer has opened the content. And now I must say, I just said that you can't rely on the analytics data from email automations, but this data from Seidat, you can rely on that. Whenever your customer is opening and you will get the notification, it really happens. And it's amazing thing. Whenever you have sent a proposal and you see that now the customer is opening and you call them, they are really happy, because you are helping them at the right time when they need the help. It's also important that this is built that way that you can integrate it with all kind of contents, all kind of systems. And actually, what I will do after this session, I will generate automatically personalized presentation about Seidat. You will reach it today in 1 hour after this session. I believe that it takes 2 or 3 minutes, but of course some errors can happen sometimes, and Murphy can come to join to our session, and then something happens. On our website, or for example in this presentation, if you have followed the link which Evert sent you, you can immediately book a meeting, for example with Tim. Tim is our sales manager, and he is really interested to meet you, and it's so easy. When I'm summarizing things, build everything on the basic understanding of sales. Build everything, all kind of machines, on the basis of understanding of the business area where you are, skills to solve the problems, and then to attitude to solve, to willingness to close those deals. Whenever you build your virtual sales machine to this basis, I really believe that there is good opportunity to successful sales. I really want to thank you, and I recommend you to test Seidat. Please go sign up to our application. It's free for trial, and you can find it from the address app.seidat.com. And I really hope that you will have very good sales season before the Christmas, before the New Year, and good luck with closing. And if you want to close a little bit more, then book a meeting with us. We have those calendars on our website, so it's easy to schedule a meeting, and let's continue this discussion. Kiitos, thank you. Have a nice coming Christmas time, holiday season. So see you soon. Good luck and have a nice winter time. See you soon. Bye.